Okay, thanks for joining me. What I want to do is tell you my idea on how to solve this mortgage problem. I would call it a foreclosure stimulus program, not a package, not something that the government necessarily is going to have to put any money out for, but a program that should work. And I've got to start with, I've presented this program. Let's go back to Michelle Bachman's office. I did get a call thanking me for the information, but that's as far as it's gone. I've spread it around to other mortgage lenders. The president of a company in Minneapolis who thought it had a lot of good points and thinks more should be going on with this. And I want to go back and let you know my name, Jim Rossman, and I've been in this business for 23 years, and I've been originating loans for various companies and as an independent broker for the past 8 years. Things are very slow, and there really is nothing going on to help people. A lot of talk, but nothing happening. You know, back in the 80s, there was a problem. Rates were high, couldn't get people in houses, and we would write loans on what we called graduated payment mortgages. That allowed for negative amortization. It was an FHA program. Negative amortization in the first 5 years. At the end of 5 years, your loan would have grown quite a bit, and then your loan would be paid off over the following 25 years at a payment based on that initial interest rate. In many cases, a lot of times it was 14.5%, but prices definitely were lower. Okay, now, they also let us do 3-2-1 buy downs. I'm sure a lot of you remember those. The first year your rate started 3% lower, second year 2% lower, third year 1% lower. The money would be put aside by maybe the seller in the form of 6 discount points to subsidize your payment in those earlier years. But at the end of 3 years and the end of 5 years, for many of those people on the graduated payment mortgages, which we called GPMs, these were all FHA products. And FHA was finding that people were defaulting. They couldn't make the payments. Houses were coming back. They didn't know what to do. So the FHA Streamline program was introduced. It is still available today, but it can only be used from an FHA loan to an FHA loan. And I wrote a lot of them. I went out to people and said, I can lower your payment. At that time, we even were allowed to take people from a GPM at 14.5 down to a FHA adjustable rate that started at 10.5. The payment had to decrease by at least $50 a month. We did not need an appraisal, and they could include closing costs. So it was a great program. If we had needed an appraisal, the houses wouldn't have appraised for enough. The people didn't have the cash. They got to keep their houses. Things stabilized, and the economy moved forward. So I've worked with many of these people that had these loans over my 23 years in the business, and have found that many of them moved forward and have done it very, very well. Well, over the last few years, you know about subprime loans. They came in, even good old Alan Greenspan was rooting for the things. I actually believe that a lot of CEOs were trying to keep the value up of their stock, keep their banks going, make things look good. As mortgage applications would drop off, they'd loosen credit standards. As they drop off again, they'd increase the combined loan-to-value limits. It got very, very competitive. People were taking out first and second mortgages. People were taking out second mortgages in the last couple of years just to pay their bills. I believe there was about $650 billion in second mortgages in 2007 that were pumped into the economy. You know, the stimulus package is about a quarter of that. So this is a real problem. Now I see the problem similar to what we had where FHA bailed us out. But FHA really isn't the one to bail us out of subprime loans. And keep in mind, now more than just the subprimers are getting hurt. The people who had a conventional loan maybe took out a second mortgage. Now their values have dropped, income has slowed down. They're in the same boat. They're going to start losing their homes too. So all of these mortgage-backed securities are getting kind of scary for the investors. So let's take a look forward as to what can be done. I recommend that we start a Fannie Mae streamlined refinance that's open to everybody. We'd put a few rules in there to protect from fraud and gouging and overcharging. And I think that we should be able to refinance first and second mortgage loans into one new loan on anybody's home that's a primary residence, if they've owned the home for at least 12 months. No appraisal, so to speak. I would still recommend that we have a drive-by without a value. That's where the appraiser drives by, takes a picture of it, the house is intact, it's really there, so that we know there's no fraud going on in that respect. The new payment would have to decrease by at least $100 a month. And that's not going to be tough to do. If you're paying off a 9-10% equity line, second mortgage, 7% first mortgage, and getting into something hopefully at 6 or below, you're going to save over $100 a month. And these poor people who are on these option arms are buried. They're like a GIPM loan that I talked about earlier. These people are going to save tremendously. And the people on the subprime loans, the 228s, lots of them are still coming up for adjustment. We haven't even seen the top of that yet. They should be able to rewrite their loans. Some of those people are going to save up to $1,000 or maybe more per month in doing so. I believe that we shouldn't make the people qualify. They qualified one way or another for that initial payment they had. This payment's going to be lower than what they're getting stuck into. I'm sure they want their homes. They want to keep them. And we don't want them. The banks don't want them. Lots of them go bad, of course, investors aren't going to buy the mortgage-backed securities or the collateralized debt obligations that these are put into. So, no qualifying. That's it. Sorry, we had to go backwards on that just to get us out of this mess. I think we've overdone it by tightening the reins to the point that no one can get a mortgage, people can't get credit, and it's going to snowball. If a customer is, let's say, 3-4 months even past due on their house payment, we shall allow them to include those back payments in this new loan. That way we're really going to help things. Real estate will stabilize, and once they stabilize, it's going to be good for realtors, it's going to be good for title companies, it's going to be good for the county offices collecting mortgage registration tax, deed tax when things start to sell. It goes around and around and around. Your Home Depots, anybody. I'm sure that everybody now is starting to feel the effects of this slowdown. And I hope you would agree that to get us our strong economy going, we have to start it with real estate. Now, if we start a program like this, investors are not going to want to buy the loans. They're going to say, these are crappy loans, these are bad. Probably. But a way we can correct that is the government has to step up and say that these Fannie Mae streamlined loans are going to be backed by the full faith and value of the U.S. Treasury. I'm very sorry, but they're going to have to say that. And in an essence, they're saying it already. The government has injected $200 billion into our banking system, allowing banks to use their collateralized debt obligations as collateral for those loans. Now, if the bank goes under, the government gets the collateral, which is the mortgages. So, in fact, they are guaranteeing them. The government in March has injected $150 billion into Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae. And injecting the money in there, I seem to think that that's almost the same thing as backing the security. So if the government would tell the investors, yes, we will guarantee payments on these mortgage-backed securities to the investors, rates will stabilize, investors will come forward so that the World Bank and whoever else needs to inject cash into the system maybe won't have to do so. But this has got to be done soon. It's got to be done now, and I urge you to let your congressman, senator, mayor, anybody that can, let's get on the bandwagon and write some letters and tell them you want to instigate this streamlined refinance program for all people through Fannie Mae. Freddie Mac could do it too, not a problem. Government-sponsored entities, and let's stop the foreclosure problem from happening. Thank you. We've got to solve this problem together.